For 2,000 years, everyone believed Cleopatra's tomb was lost forever beneath the ruins of Alexandria, swallowed by earthquakes and the rising sea. But in 2025, divers discovered a submerged port near Taposiris Magna, lined with colossal columns and sealed in untouched Ptolemaic-era artifacts. These clues suggest her burial may not have vanished, but was purposely hidden to escape Roman hands. If true, the fate of Egypt's last queen could change history, and what divers found might be more disturbing than anyone imagined. But how close are we to the truth? Ancient writers left only scattered hints about Cleopatra's final resting place. Plutarch, writing in the 1st century CE, described how, after her death in 30 BCE, Cleopatra was buried with Mark Antony by order of Octavian, later Augustus, who allowed the pair to be laid to rest together. Cassius Dio, another Roman historian, echoed this tradition, placing the tomb somewhere in Alexandria, though neither gave a precise location. For centuries, that city's royal quarter was the assumed site, a zone of palaces, temples, and monuments along the Mediterranean shore. But Alexandria's fate was shaped by disaster. Over the centuries, earthquakes and tsunamis battered the coast, most violently in 365 CE, when a massive quake near Crete sent waves crashing into the city, toppling columns and flooding streets. The land itself was slowly sinking as the Nile Delta's soft sediments compacted and the sea advanced. By the medieval period, much of the royal district had vanished beneath the waves. Submarine archaeology in Alexandria's harbor has revealed toppled columns, shattered statues, and the drowned foundations of temples, all evidence of a city repeatedly struck by catastrophe. In this environment, the idea of a lost tomb swallowed by the sea and unreachable became the accepted story. Without inscriptions and without a trace of this burial chamber, the search for Cleopatra's tomb was long considered hopeless. Only new archaeological discoveries could challenge this narrative and reopen the question of where Egypt's last queen was truly laid to rest. 12 meters beneath the surface, divers traced the outline of a drowned harbor just off the ancient shoreline of Taposiris Magna. Massive stone columns, each rising over 6 meters from the seabed, stood in silent ranks, remnants of a monumental structure built to last. The polished pavements at their base, still smooth to the touch after 2,000 years, hinted at a place of ceremony or controlled access, not a simple trading dock. Scattered across the site lay stone and lead anchors, their forms matching those used in Egypt during Cleopatra's reign. Amphorae fragments littered the silt, their shapes and stamps identified by specialists as late Ptolemaic, the very decades when Cleopatra ruled. Sonar mapping revealed that the submerged harbor's axis runs in line with a 1.3-kilometer tunnel cut beneath the temple on shore, a structure whose purpose remains a matter of debate. This alignment, noted by the lead marine archaeologist, suggests a deliberate connection between sea and sanctuary, as if the harbor once served as the hidden front door to the temple's deepest chambers. Unlike the tangled ruins of Alexandria, the harbor at Taposiris Magna preserves a sense of order and intention. Every block, every column seems placed with care, as if to anchor something precious against the rising sea. For the first time, the search for Cleopatra's tomb is grounded not in rumor or legend, but in stone, clay, and the silent geometry of a lost port. Beneath the temple ruins at Taposiris Magna, engineers of the Ptolemaic era carved a tunnel stretching roughly 1.3 kilometers through dense bedrock, cut at a depth of about 13 meters below the surface. This passageway is among the longest known subterranean works in the Nile Delta. Archaeologists describe it as a feat of ancient planning, with its route running from the heart of the sanctuary toward the ancient shoreline, now submerged. The orientation of the tunnel appears intentional, as if it was designed to link the temple directly to the port, whose remains lie offshore. While detailed measurements remain unpublished, early surveys suggest the passage maintains a steady course, wide and high enough for human movement. Workers would have needed to remove thousands of tons of stone by hand, using chisels and picks in the low, stifling dark. The effort required careful organization, not only to cut through solid rock, but to ensure the tunnel held its direction over such a distance. At intervals, subtle changes in the walls hint at possible side chambers or shafts, their purpose still unknown. The scale and precision of this underground corridor raise questions about its original function. Unlike typical drainage channels or storage galleries, the tunnel's length and alignment suggest it was built for more than utility. Its dimensions could accommodate the movement of people or even a funeral procession, shielded from outside eyes. In the context of the port and temple above, the tunnel stands as a silent witness to the logistical ingenuity of those who shaped Taposiris Magna's hidden landscape. Inside the temple precinct at Taposiris Magna, discoveries on dry land have added a new layer to the mystery. Archaeologists have unearthed hundreds of bronze and silver coins, each stamped with Cleopatra's unmistakable profile, her features rendered in the Hellenistic style, a diadem circling her brow, and a Greek legend identifying her as queen. Numismatists date these coins to the final years of her reign, between 51 and 30 BCE. Based on iconography and mint marks unique to the late Ptolemaic period. Many were found in sealed caches and ritual pits, suggesting intentional burial rather than casual loss. Alongside the coins, the team uncovered ritual artifacts, statuettes of Isis and Osiris, ceremonial vessels, and fragments of incense burners, all consistent with elite cult activity. Some of these objects were recovered from a feature called the Sacred Trench, running parallel to the temple's main axis, a channel interpreted as a route for offerings or a symbolic passage. Nearby, archaeologists documented a series of high-status tombs. Several contained mummies with gold foil placed over the tongues, a practice reserved for the privileged in the late Ptolemaic and early Roman periods. The presence of such burials, together with the coin hoards and cultic equipment, points to a temple complex that was not just a religious center, tir, but a place of elite commemoration and perhaps secretive burial. Each object, from the smallest coin to the gilded mummy, ties the site to Cleopatra's era and raises the question of whether royal investment and royal secrets were embedded in the very heart of Taposiris Magna. Kathleen Martinez did not begin her career in archaeology. Trained as a criminal lawyer, she turned her attention to Egypt after becoming fascinated by the unanswered question of Cleopatra's burial. Since 2005, Martinez has led excavations at Taposiris Magna, proposing a theory that challenges centuries of scholarly consensus. She argues that Cleopatra, identifying herself as a living incarnation of Isis, would have sought burial in a sanctuary deeply connected to the goddess. Taposiris Magna, with its temple dedicated to Osiris and long-standing Isis cult, stood outside the immediate reach of Rome at the time of Cleopatra's death. Martinez's hypothesis draws together the newly discovered submerged port, the 1.3-kilometer tunnel running beneath the temple, and the cluster of elite artifacts and burials from Cleopatra's era. She envisions a hidden necropolis protected by water, stone, and secrecy, where Egypt's last queen could be laid to rest beyond the eyes of her conquerors. For Martinez, these converging lines of evidence offer the strongest case yet for a royal burial concealed at Taposiris Magna. Doubts persist even as discoveries pile up. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's most prominent archaeologist, voices a common criticism. Not a single inscription, plaque, or artifact has surfaced that directly names Cleopatra or Mark Antony as buried at Taposiris Magna. For many in the field, coins and ritual objects are not enough. Temples, they argue, rarely served as royal tombs, and the absence of clear dedicatory texts leaves the case unproven. The search now turns to technology. The coming phase will rely on a battery of advanced tools, side-scan sonar to map submerged stonework, multi-beam bathymetry to reveal hidden architecture, and remotely operated vehicles to inspect areas too dangerous for divers. On land, ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity will probe for sealed chambers or voids beneath the temple. The stakes are high. Only the discovery of a royal sarcophagus, a burial chamber with explicit inscriptions, or preserved human remains can settle the question. Until then, every artifact and scan adds tension to a mystery that has resisted answers for 2,000 years. Today, every dive at Taposiris Magna chips away at 2 millennia of silence. As technology pushes deeper, history's greatest secrets edge closer to the surface. The search for Cleopatra's tomb is not just about the past, it is about how much of ourselves we are still willing to uncover. What do you think they will find?